Hey guys, it's Edwin here and hope you're having a great weekend. Today I'm going to talk about reactive abuse. You see, like when you're in an abusive relationship, you will do unimaginable things to survive or to cruise through each day because your buttons will be constantly pressed by the abuser to the point where you find yourself even engaging in actions or behaviors which are out of what you can call normal. They will press your buttons through insidious manipulative techniques like gaslighting, smear campaign, false accusation, and verbal abuse. And they will do those things that trigger your greatest fears, traumas, insecurities, and anxieties. So it's a place where you'll be constantly pushed to the limit or to a corner till you finally cave in and engage in defensive behaviors which you really feel are not in tune with who you are. So you might find yourself engaging in behaviors which on normal occasions you are not supposed to do, or you are not going to do. These behaviors can be something like you might find yourself like over drinking or lashing out at them, breaking a few plates, shouting at your kids, or even physically fighting back at them, or just calling them names, or just something which you really feel is out of touch with who you are at the core of your being. Those are just a few examples of undesirable behaviors you might engage in when you are in an abusive relationship. And to make it even worse, you might use this as a justification that you are both abusive and so you deserve to be together in that relationship. In fact, that's what mostly happens. Someone says, I know we are both toxic, so I have to stay in this relationship. And to make things worse, your abusive partner will echo and amplify your undesirable behaviors and you'll never hear the end of it. So they will keep talking about those undesirable behaviors you've engaged in. Even when you've done it just for, like, if you've done it just once, and then for them, they've been doing it for like 24 hours in 365 days and a year. Once you engage in that undesirable behavior, they will use it against you. They will use it against you as a smear campaign tool, or they will use it against you to manipulate you further, which further psychologically hurts you. So, your self-defense against the abuser is now making you look like the abusive one. And you even think and have that common thought of, what if I'm the narcissist? And that's what reactive abuse is all about in an abusive relationship. So, what is reactive abuse? Reactive abuse is where you find yourself engaging in some atrocious behavior or some weird or undesirable behavior and actions as a result of being cornered or pushed to the limit by an abusive person. In short, you engage in some sort of abusive behavior just to keep yourself safe from the abuse, or as a defense mechanism from what you are being put through by the manipulator. And if you find the word reactive abuse triggering or not feeling well with you, you can call it reactive response. It's more of your buttons are being constantly or violently pressed, then you react emotionally or physically to the situation. And reactive abuse is a very dangerous place to be in a relationship, especially when you're not aware of it. This is because it opens doors to further manipulation, as well as it can be used against you in a court of law as they seek to alienate you from your kids, or as they seek to take away most of the child custody. In fact, like, it's how they actually manage to convince you in a manipulative way that you are crazy or you're unstable because of your actions and behaviors. And this statement will sound so true to you because they will have clear evidence of what you did, and you also remember those instances you acted undesirably. And when you are traumatized, or when you have been put through a traumatic situation like being in a traumatic relationship, your logic has been eroded to the point where you will not even pause and challenge those sentiments with a simple question like, wait a minute, I broke wait a minute, I broke those plates because you've been cheating on me with countless partners, or because you lied to me, or because you physically abused me. So you forget the why you did those things and instead focus on the allegations made by the abuser because your logic has been eroded. That's why it can be a very tricky spot to be in, because it can render you helpless, powerless, and hopeless. So a common question which people mostly ask when it comes to reactive abuse is something like, does reactive abuse make you abusive? Yeah, reactive abuse will make you think and feel that you are mutually abusive. To ease these thoughts, you have to pause and look at the frequency of those abusive in quotes instances. You will realize that the ratio of your undesirable ways to those of the abuser is something like 1 to 1,000. You can take it a step further and just write down those thoughts that make you think you are the narcissist and compare with the undesirable behaviors your partner is engaging on. It will be so clear that yours is the defense mechanism, and for the abuser, it's plain abuse and manipulation. The other thing that differentiates you from the abuser is guilty conscience. You see, you will feel guilty because you engaged in some undesirable behavior, which means there's still a spark of goodness deep within you. This shows that you are true to yourself and you acknowledge your wrongdoings, and it will be a great instigator of change when you start healing. On the other hand, an abusive person will hardly feel guilty about what they are doing because their worldly perspective is just so distorted. So when you engage in reactive abuse or when you react undesirably to something and you feel guilty, that's a very great place to be in because you feel that that thing is not who you are, and it opens room for you to change on a deeper level. So, how do you deal with reactive abuse? Let's first understand that when you are in an abusive relationship or when you are dealing with a toxic person or a manipulative person, be it workplace or family or just a romantic relationship, it may be inevitable to engage in some sort of reactive abuse because they really know how to press your buttons. So, to mitigate this, the first thing you can do is just to be aware that you are engaging in those undesirable behaviors because you are being pushed to the limit by someone who really knows which buttons to press in you. This will at least lower the instances of you beating yourself up or just shaming yourself when all you are doing is just trying your best and defending yourself. Like, do not internalize your reactions and hurts as part of your identity. Just be mindful of what you are doing and just know that you are doing it for survival's sake, but not as part of who you are. The other thing you can do when you've been really pushed to the corner by a toxic person is do not show your reactions in front of them. Like, you just try to be calm and temporarily here, like I want you to underline that word temporarily. Like, you can temporarily bottle those frustrations as much as possible. Yes, you are frustrated. You want to really react and really scream in front of their faces, but just bottle them for now. Then, once you are away from them, you can now find a way to channel out that negative energy where they cannot see. Because the thing is, if they can't see it, or if they can't see you calling them those names, they can't use it against you, even in a court of law. Even this can be something like writing their name in a pillow, this is my favorite, and punching or stabbing the hell out of it with passion and in a way that you really release those frustrations. So, for example, when you are parenting together and then they delay or they do something which frustrates you, don't show them. Just find a way to release those frustrations later on instead of carrying them with you. And the thing is, do not bottle these frustrations and act like you don't feel it, because this will make you numb in the longer term. And the thing is, when you don't react when they want you to, you'll be starving them of their supply, because one of their supply is your reactions. Of course, it's not easy, but that's where you just have to give your all. You are doing this not for them, you are doing this for you. The you who still sees the spark of goodness deep within themselves. To conclude, being in an abusive relationship is not the best place for you to be in. And that's why you have to work day and night to really get away from it as much as possible. And we have to be aware that your mind will lie to you that you need to stick to that relationship because you are also abusive, because you are also engaging in those undesirable behaviors, because you are also sleeping around. No, do not listen to it, but instead focus on how you can do inner healing to really get in touch with who you are deep inside, to where that guilty conscience is coming from. So you heal so that you can form a healthy relationship with yourself. And once you heal, you will now have a clear understanding of why you did those things in the relationship, of why you engage in those undesirable behaviors. It will also be a great opportunity for you to address those buttons that toxic people like pressing when they want to manipulate you. One last thing we need to be wary of is the trap of normalizing reactive abuse, because if it becomes a habit, you will lose your conscience. So just understand and be aware of it, but differentiate it from who you are at the core of your being. See it as a temporary survival mechanism and not where you deserve to be as you strive to reconnect with your authentic self. So don't engage in reactive abuse, like this defensive mechanism, all the time, and now form a habit out of it and say, now I'm just defending myself. No, just see it as what it is. Like, this is just a defense, and I want to get away from this defense mechanism and live a life where I'm true to myself. Hope you found that informative, guys. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, see ya.